I now want to talk about setting goals. And before we get into our goals workshop, let me give you a few ideas about goal setting that became terribly helpful for me in those early days. Of all the things Mr. Shoaff taught, this is the one I picked up on right away and started making major changes. My income changed from a few hundred a month to a few thousand a month in a matter of months. Some personal development things took me a little longer to get underway, but goal setting, I picked it up immediately and went to work on it. No telling what we can do with it. And sure enough, by setting goals, making designs and plans, putting it together, no telling what you can do for your personal life and social, economic life, whatever projects you've got in mind. If you start paying a little more attention. Mr. Shoaff said to me, Mr. Owen, you've always set goals, but before now you've probably done it haphazardly and spasmodically rather than deliberately. And that's a good thing to note. We've already set goals, only we just haven't done it really thoughtfully and carefully and with plan and with intent and with deliberation and consistently. We didn't use it as a plan. We just sort of did it by instinct or by sight or something grabbed our attention and we just worked hard and got it. But now he said, I want you to take that same ability and now I want you to work on goals deliberately, thoughtfully, with preparation. And then he said you can add such a wider variety of ranges to what you get and what you accomplish and what you become and where you go, just by doing it deliberately rather than spasmodically, haphazardly. And that made sense to me. And what he did was he gave me credit for what I'd already done, right? Gave me credit for what I already knew. And that's what we want to start with, is a little credit for where we already are, right? We got here some way. This was a goal. To get here, we've set some goals, we've done some things, but where you might have done it just sort of loosely and once in a while and you know, the ups and downs now, from now on, with just a few pointers that I found helpful, I think you can start making real deliberate plans, really setting it out so that goals and dreams for you have an incredible attraction. We're primarily affected by 5 things. And here they are. First, we're affected by the environment. And all of us are affected by environment, where we live, the community, and the traffic, and the weather, and the smog, whatever. We're all affected by environment. The people around us, what's happening, what's going on. We're all affected by that. Second, we're affected by events, things that happen, whether they're personal things or community things, national things. Some of us are affected by international events. Does anybody remember the missile crisis? There's some here old enough, right, to remember the missile crisis? Back in what, 61? Incredible time. We discovered Khrushchev's got his missiles heading for Cuba. They've already prepared the missile sites. And we discover it, right? They bring the news to John Kennedy, young president. So Kennedy gets a hold of Khrushchev and says, Nikita, you cannot put your missiles in Cuba. We've discovered the sites, and we just can't let that happen. Well, Khrushchev, to test the young president, says, well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Kennedy, we will put our missiles wherever we darn well please. Kennedy says, no, you don't understand. You can't put your missiles 90 miles from Florida. You can't. Khrushchev says, well, if we wish, we will. Kennedy says, you don't understand. And now it's getting a little bit heavy, right? Khrushchev says, the ships with the missiles are already on the way. Kennedy says, you don't understand. We won't let them arrive. Now it is getting heavy, right? Some of my friends were booking passage to Australia. Right? Let us get on the other side of the world. Khrushchev says, if you touch my ships, we got war. Kennedy says, well, maybe you don't understand. If it is war, you will cease to exist. People were buying bomb shelters. Remember back then? Digging holes in their backyard. Getting ready. It was an event that affected us all. And I think Dean Rusk, Secretary of State at the time, put it best. He said, Kennedy and Khrushchev were staring at each other, and fortunately, Khrushchev blinked. And he decided he'd better take his missiles and go home, which he did. And the whole world breathes a little easier, right? Events that affect us all. Third, we're affected by knowledge. Whatever you've learned up until now affects you. The books you've read, the experience you've come into possession of, the awareness you've accumulated up until now in your life certainly affects you. Next, we're affected by results. Whatever results, accomplishments or failures of the past. All those affect us. The current economic results you have. Okay, all of the results of the past affect us. And fifth, we're affected by our view of the future. Now, of all of these 5 things I've mentioned, in my opinion, here's the best way to live the good life.